Hello, beautiful friends. Welcome back to my channel. What does Tiger Woods's golf swing have to do with scaling your business? That's what we're going to talk about today. If you're new around here, welcome. My name is Sarah. I'm a certified life and business coach, and I help heart-centered service practitioners, creatives, and spiritual entrepreneurs build the lives and businesses of their dreams. Did I say that right? Heart-centered service providers, creatives, spiritual practitioners. You know how, I don't know if you know, but I've gotten into a role with saying who I am and what I do for these YouTube intros. And then some days, tongue twister status, I just mix all the words up. So if I didn't say it right the first time, I think it was right the second time. I also have ADHD. So if you can relate to sometimes being like, I have no memory of what just came out of my mouth, then you're in the right place. Welcome. I'm happy you're here. So I've been going live every day in January to talk about all things related to reaching your goals, making sure that your New Year's resolutions come to fruition, that 2024 is the year that you want it to be. And this has been something that's been on my mind to talk about for a little bit. And it does start with a story about Tiger Woods, which I will preface by saying I'm not a sports girly. If you've heard me make sports metaphors in the past incorrectly, I have said don't really know very much about sports, but sometimes sports stories and sports analogies are very apt to business for a handful of reasons, not the least of which is that business is a skill. And like a sport, you don't get better at playing a sport by reading about it. You might know the rules and understand the game intellectually, but you only get better at the sport by playing it. Same thing is true with business. You can watch every video, you can take a ton of courses, but if you're not actually implementing, trying things out, and failing in public, then you're not building the skills that you really need to build as a business owner. So sports stories can be very helpful when we're doing business analogy. So there's a story I read at some point somewhere. It may have been in the book Mind Gym by Gary Mack, which is one of my favorite books. And in this story, they talk about how when Tiger Woods was at the peak of his career, he was winning tournaments, he was traveling all over the world, he was playing all the big golfs, people were into it. The golf people, very into Tiger at the time. He had a way of swinging that was causing an injury to his shoulder. It was causing him pain, and the pain was getting worse. And his doctors basically said, you can keep doing what you're doing and your career will last like another year before you are too injured to play anymore. Or you can rehab the injury, rework your swing, and continue to play healthfully for many years to come. So his coaches and his trainers all knew that in order for him to rehab his injury and retool his swing, he was going to have to lose on a level that most of us will never experience having to lose, because he was already very, very famous, already world famous. So you're going to have to lose on the world stage with everyone watching you while people ask, what is going on? Are they losing their touch? Are they not as good anymore? Have they lost it? Is their career over? You're going to go through all of this for about a year in order to come back and have a winning season again and to keep playing well. And if your goal is longevity, this is the only option. And so he agreed. And that is what he did. He lost very publicly for like a year. And then he reworked his swing. And it was like being a beginner all over again. And then came back to have like his winningest year. So what does this have to do with scaling your business? You may already be feeling the vibe about needing to slow down to speed up sometimes. We can get so focused on our dream outcome, on our goal, on the thing that we want to have happen. Meanwhile, working in a way that is not sustainable, and that if a bunch of new customers or clients were introduced would cause us burnout, that would not work for us to be able to do at a larger scale than we're doing it right now. But we can get so used to doing things the way that we're doing it. And sometimes when we're in this phase, we are overworked. We're already nearing burnout. We are stressed. We are tired. We feel like we're working around the clock to make ends meet. And the idea that we're going to have to slow down, purposefully allow maybe our sales numbers to dip a little bit, to go through a period of reconfiguration in order to come back and see much greater rewards. But a lot of times, our ego makes it very difficult for us to accept that calculated period of slowdown, that calculated, I'm going to have to lose on the public stage for a little while I rework this. I'm going to give you an example. I've had clients come to me who are like, I really want to change my business model. I no longer want to take one on one clients. I'm burning out on doing one on one work. I want to do group work. I want to have a course or a membership or an app. And so they start launching their new product. And anytime you're launching a new product that's not what people know you for, it's going to be slower. You're going to get less sales results because you're building up the audience for this new way of working. And the established audience that you have wants this other thing from you. And so when they don't get the sales that they were hoping for right out the gate, or other people start contacting them and saying, hey, I see you marketing for this group, but I don't want a group. I want to do one-on-one with you. They feel very tempted to say yes to those one-on-one offers, or they feel very tempted to throw in the towel and say, okay, my first group launch didn't work. So I just want to go back to doing my one-on-ones because that's what's been successful for me. So what's happening is they're experiencing the slowdown, the dip that they should expect to see because they've changed their product suite. But emotionally, they were not prepared for how they would feel when they saw the slowdown, when they didn't see the sales responses that they're used to seeing. And they get anxious. And then they know, well, if I just go back to doing this other thing, I'll go back to what feels safe to me, which is to have these other numbers. And it's very challenging to steady ourselves through, no, I knew this was going to happen. It's fine that this is happening. I was prepared for this to happen. And as much as it might sting or hurt my ego that I'm not getting the sales numbers that I'm used to, or I'm not seeing the audience engagement and response that I'm used to, I know that this is the right thing for me. I'm going to have to allow my old audience to fall away, and people who are only interested in working with me one-on-one are going to have to get on a wait list, or they're going to have to eventually unfollow me and go elsewhere because I'm taking my business in this new direction that's right for me. And eventually clients will adopt it. Eventually more people will come on board if I stay the course and I lead them this direction. And that can be very challenging to do. When I made the decision to turn Elemental Entrepreneurship, my program, into a membership, it had previously been a live group coaching program, and I taught the material live multiple times. And then I realized I could reach more people and help more people if I turned it into a membership. If I took the best recorded version of the program and made them into a course, and then I opened a membership where people get access to the course and they get live coaching with me to ask questions. I don't have to keep teaching the same material over and over. I can make the price a lot more accessible. I can take hundreds of people at a time. This really allows my business to scale in a way that feels really exciting to me and allows me to make a really big impact. I want to help hundreds of creative entrepreneurs grow their businesses, and this frees me up to do it. Before I started that membership, the first thing that I did was not build the sales page. It was not make posts on Instagram. It was not announce that it was coming. The first thing I did was took 6 months to work on my business's back end. It was not glamorous and it was not fast. And I had to endure a dip in sales numbers and sales activities. Also knowing I was going from selling a $5K, $5,500 small group coaching offer to selling a membership that's $250 a month or $2,600 a year. This was a very different product at a very different price point with a different level of access to me. And two sales of a $5,500 product is not the same as two sales of a $250 product. It just works differently. And I knew I was going to have to endure the discomfort of first slowing down so that I could focus on the back end of the business, so that I could make sure we had systems in place, structure in place, team members in place to support a group that was that large. I've never supported a group that large before. And so I wanted to make sure that we're not going to get all these people in here and risk them having a bad time, right? If I'm throwing a big party, I don't want to let everyone get here and then figure out the seating arrangement and whether or not there's enough cups for everybody. I want to make sure there's enough of everything first. And the way that my business was structured before was not set up to allow me to host a party that big. And I knew it. And so I took the calculated risk of slowing down for 6 months. So I put most of my workday for a while in working on my business, not just working in my business. I was making sure that we had processes and structure and standard operating procedures and protocols in place for how we could comfortably support a much larger group. And I had to do that in order to be ready so that now, as people join, it is very easy. It is genuinely scalable. Hundreds of people could join this membership and it wouldn't induce panic. I wouldn't be overwhelmed. I wouldn't have to work more. Everything is set up for this to still be a light lift and to still be easeful for me and for my team, no matter how many people join. And that took preparation. It took foresight. It took pre-work. And it's not the flashy, exciting part. It's not the graphic design part. It's not sales. It's not welcoming a bunch of new people into your world. It's all load in, as we would say in the performance art world, like the people who get there at 10 a.m. and load in the lights and do all of the tech work. It's not the same as the artist who just gets to show up and go straight to their dressing room, right? There's a different type of work being done when we're laying the foundation and doing the preparation for the exciting thing that's to come. And so many people want to skip that preparatory part, or they consent to it and begin it. But then when they actually experience the slowdown, they realize that what is really being asked of you in this transition is for you, as the owner and operator of your business, is for you to slow down and work differently. When I have team members, I have 2 team members now. I have a project manager and we share a virtual assistant. When I had to start creating systems for work that I used to do myself so that I could delegate it, one of the most challenging parts of it was that I had to work differently in order for other people to be able to do their jobs. I had to change. I was used to just handling everything myself and doing everything in this really free form way. But in order to make the business more efficient, I had to change. I had to work differently. And I was surprised to find that one of the hardest parts about changing the way that I was working was changing the way that I was working. It wasn't about my team. It wasn't about the systems. They were open to whatever it was. But when it came down to it, it was me having to behave differently, where I used to be able to just do whatever I wanted and work in this really free form way, excuse me. So often when I'm working with business owners who are at this critical point of, my business works, I'm making money, clients are coming, things are going pretty well, I'm doing pretty good in the business, but I'm maxed out, I'm working all the time, I can't take on any more one-on-one or done with you clients because I can't work anymore. And I love the idea of scaling. I love the idea of having a 7-figure business. I love the idea of having digital products or courses that could allow me to serve way more people at once. But I feel like I can't stop what I'm doing for even a moment because I'm too afraid of the dip. And there's part of me that knows that if I make this change, I'm going to have to work differently. I'm going to have to be different in my business. I'm going to have to slow down. I'm going to have to be more intentional. I'm going to have to pay more attention to systems and organization and things that before I've been allowed to be really loosey goosey with in order to reach that goal. And they either don't know how, they're afraid to, or they're in this catch 22, this time money trap of I'm working around the clock to keep things going the way they are. I know I'm going to need to slow down to speed up, which means I'm going to see a dip in income for a little while in order to have that rocket boost of income on the other side of it. And I can't figure out how to allow myself to take that strategic loss season in order to get to the outcome I'm looking for. So, if you can relate to this, I want to tie us back to Tiger Woods and that decision to take a period of time, a strategic losing season, a period where my numbers might slow down. I might not get the same responses that I usually get. I might lose a bunch of followers when I pivot the things that I share and talk about. This may result in a dip. And I'm going to be steadfast and determined and hold to my vision because I genuinely believe that on the other side of this short strategic losing season, I'm going to have my winningest season ever. And my process will become so much more sustainable that it's not just about working for the next 6 months or working for the next year. It's about how am I going to work for the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? What am I doing long term? And in the long-term big picture of the business, this one strategic losing season is nothing compared to where you're headed and what's possible when you put in that little bit of work to prepare for the growth that you actually want. So that's my little story. If this was helpful for you and you're like, okay, great, but I don't have a coach to guide me through my strategic losing season or to focus on how I prepare my business for scaling, I want to invite you to apply for my brand new program. It's called the S.C.A.L.E Mentorship, and S.C.A.L.E is an acronym that stands for Systems, Courses, Automation, Leadership, Expansion. It's a 6-month program. It is going to become a mastermind. But because this is the beta round of the program, I'm taking 5 entrepreneurs through the framework privately at a fraction of the price that it's going to be when it's a mastermind. So you can sign up or you can apply to work with me privately one-on-one for 6 months. And for each of these months, I'm going to take you through one of the areas of focus that you need to have prepared in order to create the conditions required to scale your business. So in the first month, we're looking at your systems. We're doing a complete systems audit in your business. We're looking at what systems need to be overhauled, what things need to be delegated, what things need to be automated, what things need to be cut entirely. We create systems in the place where there are none so that everything in your business works more effortlessly and more smoothly. In month 2, we look at courses, digital products, apps, anything that we can do to take your one-on-one or done with you or done for you services and turn them into more DIY or done with you offerings that allow you to serve more people at once. We need a scalable product if we want to scale. So in month 2, we focus on making sure that you have scalable products in place in your product suite. S.C.A. Now we get to automations. So we've looked at your systems and we've looked at what's going to be your digital products. So now we're in a really great place to look at automations in your business. Some of the things that need to be delegated don't need to be delegated to a person. They can be delegated to a machine. And so we're going to automate as much as we possibly can in your daily workflows, in your delivery mechanisms, in your client processes to make sure that as many things as possible are set up. These can be marketing automations like your lead generation, your welcome sequences in your emails. There are all kinds of things that can be built out and automated in a set it and forget it kind of way. And we're going to do that in month 3. In month 4, we look at your leadership. how you lead yourself and how you feel about leading others. Many people have never been managers before. They've never had a team. They've never had employees. So the first time they're practicing their leadership skills in a business context is in their own business. So in month 4, we're really working on your leadership and how you communicate what you want, how you manage your team, how you give and receive feedback, and also how you lead your clients into making empowered decisions to work with you. And finally, we go into expansion, making sure that you are emotionally, energetically, nervous system wise, the the size of container you need to be to help on a much bigger level, to interact with much more people, to have a much bigger platform, to expose yourself to much more audience and feedback and visibility, because we will always find a way to block any growth that feels dangerous or uncomfortable. You need to feel prepared emotionally to take on this kind of expansion, or you will find a way not to do it. And I will tell another story about that on another day. And then in the 6th month, it's all integration support. So now you should be putting these things into place and working in this new way. And you'll have one more month to ask me questions and get support as you go through this final month of integration. This program is going to be really impactful if you are the entrepreneur who is in the right place for it and you related to this idea of everything is working but not scalable the way that it is. I need to rework things to get prepared to scale, but I don't know how. Come to me. I've got you and I want to help you out. So I'm going to put the links for the S.C.A.L.E mentorship page in the show notes, and you can apply if that feels exciting to you. I would love to work with you. Again, I'm only taking 5 entrepreneurs through this beta round, one-on-one. When those 5 spots are filled, if you go to this page, if you're seeing this at some point in the future, when these 5 spots are filled, it will become a mastermind. So the page will still be there. It will just switch over to a wait list for the mastermind. But as it stands right now, there are spots available and you can apply. So I'm going to put the link in the show notes for that. That's all I've got for you today. Okay, love you. Bye.